Hey everyone, Andrew with IDB here. Everyone knows that the new Apple TV 4K is bringing 4K content and HDR to your living room television. Turns out, HDR video, which to me is an even bigger deal, is also coming to the new iPad Pros. To enable HDR video on your iPad, go to Settings, to TV, then to iTunes Video. With iOS 11, there is now a new toggle that says Download HDR Videos, and you want to make sure that this is enabled. Unfortunately, no matter where you look, there's no option for 4K video. Even though the iPads don't have 4K screens, they do have above 1080 screens, so they would benefit from 4K content, but right now, that's not something that Apple is offering. Now we just need some HDR content to play. We have a few movies here like John Wick and Pacific Rim that have been updated. They have these new icons here. This one says 4K and HDR and Dolby Vision. Dolby Vision is another version of HDR. Now, as long as you have that box checked inside of settings, you can download that video and play it in full HDR glory. And honestly, it looks really good on the iPad. So as we start to look at some content, a couple things to keep in mind. One, I'm recording this through a camera with there's lighting to take into consideration and lenses and everything else. Everything looks even better in real life than it does through my camera lens. But you can see the HDR content on the right compared to the non-HDR content on the left. A couple things that you're going to notice pretty quickly is the blacks do look a lot better on the HDR side. This is not an OLED panel on the new iPad Pros, but it still has a much deeper black using HDR. Colors are much more vivid and look a lot better. There's a lot more detail in darker scenes than there would be in non-HDR content. And you can kind of see that in that bar scene inside of John Wick. This scene here, there's not a lot of color. It's very flat kind of scene, but as you're starting to walk inside, you see this billboard, and you can see how it just has more color and more pop on the HDR side of this recording. Apple has been upgrading everyone's content to 4K and HDR for absolutely free if it is available, which is an absolute steal. And if you buy new 4K HDR content, it is priced the same as any 1080p HD content. So Apple's doing a great bargain here for anyone who wants to get some HDR content. So it'll look great here on your iPad Pro as well on your new Apple TV 4K. So let us know what you think of HDR. Personally, I think it's a bigger deal than 4K. It actually brings improved picture quality and not just more pixels. Let us know down below. Please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and until next time, this is Andrew with IDB.